Hello everyone, my name is Hezron and I'm in the group that supports oralism instead of American Sign Language for deaf children. We're going to start off with a fact that we got from a website called Hearing Health and Technology Matters. It states that less than 1% of the population understands American Sign Language. This shows that ASL, or American Sign Language, limits communication transactions between hearing and deaf people.
Oralism is a method that was implemented in deaf schools, and basically it uses lip reading and mimicking mouth shapes to teach deaf children how to speak like a spoken language. It is a way of connecting deaf people to the hearing world or deaf culture to hearing culture. And unlike ASL, there's a small window when a child is young and they're able to learn oralism in a time where like their language can be developed the most.
Before we go ahead and tell you guys why we think oralism is better for deaf children than ASL, we're going to restate what the other group, or the group supporting ASL, stated. They mentioned 3 points why they thought ASL was better for deaf children than oralism. The first point being ASL is what makes the deaf community unique. The second point is access to ASL means deaf children's language growth is the same as hearing children. The third point is deaf children also learn verbal cues through ASL.
Hi, everyone. This is the rebuttal for the oralism group. We wanted to point out a couple counter arguments for the arguments that the ASL group brought up. So they first said that ASL is a big part of what makes the culture unique, the deaf culture unique. And we kind of saw this as a little bit exclusionary because it's not allowing people into that important culture because they don't speak the language. It's really important for children as well being part of that community because they can feel isolated and, you know, feel like an outsider because they're not able to be a part of that community. And deaf children also have a very small window for learning spoken language. It's called neuroplasticity. They're not able to comprehend and understand what's being said to them, and they can't read lips at a certain point, and they're not going to be able to speak after that window closes. They're not going to be able to be afforded that opportunity. And ASL is something that can be learned at any point in a child's life. So that's a big point to be considered. Deaf children can also learn verbal cues from other activities. The ASL group mentioned that, that's one way that they're able to learn verbal cues. But, like we mentioned in class, deaf kids tend to be very observant and they can really see things that other hearing kids can't. And that makes it very easy for them to pick up verbal cues from other places. Um, we also have with technology nowadays in 2021, we have an array of different devices that can really bridge the gap between the hearing and the deaf world. It can really give access to all sorts of sounds and it can really open the door for a lot of deaf people. And like I said, there's that small window where they can learn how to speak. So it's very important to, take that step and, really instill some of the values of oralism. There are also a lot of professionals that teach oralism and teach how to read lips and understanding and speaking. So that's also a big factor that comes into play when you think about the debate between ASL and oralism.